Welcome to FRC Media News for Thursday, September 27th, 2018. I'm Keith Tebow. With fall just starting this week, it's time for those who need help to begin to gather information on fuel assistance for the upcoming winter. We get the viewpoint from one state representative who is against a new substance abuse treatment facility proposed in Fall River, and we provide an update on a new space exhibit at the Fall River Children's Museum. But first, let's check in with the news headlines of the week. After a week off, Will Richmond from the Herald News is back with us again. Hey, Will, how are you?
Good, Keith. How you doing?
Good, thanks. Let's start with a story that's actually new this afternoon. The state of Massachusetts, the Commonwealth, has released the latest MCAS scores for local school departments, and there's a brief article in the paper right now online sort of looking how great of Fall River fared. And in terms of the Fall River schools, Will, it looks like that those schools that have been struggling are continuing to do so based on these MCAS results.
Yeah, I don't think there was a big shift in what the, where the schools kind of stood from last year to this year. As you mentioned, there are two schools, the Watson School and the Fonseca School, which both remain the district's two lowest rated schools, or based on the, the Department of Ed's accountability ratings. Of course, one thing to take into account this year is that as the state begins complying with more federal regulations on education accountability, the whole rating system has changed, the terminology has changed as well. So what used to be known as chronically underperforming and level 4 is now viewed as, a school that is in need of assistance, so to say.
Yeah, in need of comprehensive support. I guess that's the official new terminology for those schools. And there were also some other schools that needed some, what is now called some focused and targeted support. That includes the Henry Lord Community School, the Talbot Innovation School, Morton Middle, BMC Durfee High School Resiliency Prep Academy, and they were all identified as those needing targeted and focused. And also there were other schools, 3 schools, Laterno, Doran, and Green, were found to be meeting all the accountability targets. So there's some good news, some good things, and it's we've talked about this before on many occasions that there's so much pressure for school departments across the Commonwealth to do well by this test, because it's one of the few barometers that is available, and it tends to lead to a lot of stress. And I know you've heard that as well, right, Will?
Yeah, certainly. There's questions as to, one of the phrases you probably hear most often is the concept of teaching to the test, that everything that is done in the classrooms is geared towards MCAS exams, other standardized exams. So certainly the new accountability system doesn't take that kind of mentality away in some cases. So this is the second year of what's called the MCAS Next Generation exam. And as I said before, it's the first year for the new accountability rating system as well. So I think in a couple of years, we'll start to see how this plays out more, what effects it has on the classroom as well. But I think that mentality of, teaching to the test and the importance of this exam has not gone away in any manner.
Sticking with the Fall River School Department in sort of a tangential way, article this week about the demolition and the excavation of the former Healy School in the south end of Fall River seems to continue to hit a snag, as was reported earlier this year that the demolition of the Healy School on Hicks Street was moving along. There's a developer that looks to develop that site, but they've run into some issues with asbestos. And as of right now, Will, the cleanup is still at a standstill.
Yeah, there is some hope. I guess, the Department of Environmental Protection and the developers are in this sort of position now of trying to come up with a method for how the site will be remediated. It's currently covered, most of the property is covered in white tarps at this point. The only thing that's really exposed is the former chimney stack that remains there. But so they're eyeing a date in October as the next sort of deadline to develop a remediation plan for the site.
Yeah, but definitely an eyesore for residents in that neighborhood, looking to see what will be the next steps to that property. And finally this week, Will, we talked about this before, the city of Fall River installing the new Make It Here banners on poles across the city, well over 200, I believe 240 or so banners sponsored by local businesses. Well, there was one banner that was installed near the Flatiron Building in Fall River, around 2nd Street area, toward the end of 2nd Street, which wasn't sponsored by a business, may have been sponsored by the business, but instead of a business logo there, the phrase "Choose Life" was on the banner, and the city officials were alerted to it, and it was taken down. Any other information on who actually sponsored that banner?
So no one has come forward, public, the sponsor of the banner. Um, at this point, the banner down. It wasn't quite the type of message that was intended for the banner, so somehow it kind of slipped through the cracks and got itself up onto the pole there on Plymouth Avenue. But I think other than that one banner, there seems to be a lot of positive reaction to the hanging of the banners. You'll see them all over downtown and other areas across the city. So just sort of one that made its way through and got hung up, I guess.
Yeah, it is fairly impressive that I think the number is 240 local businesses sponsored, or 240 banners were sponsored by local business to be put up across the city, as the continuing effort that the city undertakes in terms of making itself more attractive to not only residents but tourists. So that's definitely a positive. But with this banner coming out, there was a lot of debate over not only the phrase but what it meant, and we really don't know officially what was meant by that banner that was put up, but it has since been taken down. All right, Will, what's coming up over the next few days?
Well, I think a couple of weeks ago we all watched with some horror and concern as that homes exploded north of Boston. Yeah. So we've been checking in with the local gas company, Liberty Utilities, to see what they've been doing in the days and weeks since that occurred in reaction to that event, and to see what they've been doing to make sure that something like that doesn't happen in this area.
Yeah, very, very scary situation from a couple of weeks ago, especially as some of these lines become older. There's a lot of stress on those pipes, and that is apparently what happened up in the North Shore. All right, Will, we will thank you for joining us again, and we'll talk next week.
All right, have a good weekend, Keith.
We'll have more FRC Media News after this.
Here are some job descriptions on the latest hot jobs list from the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center. Nurse, Citizens for Citizens, located at 427 Robeson Street, is looking for a full-time nurse to provide a full range of health, nutrition, and child development services to low-income families. Job number 11060645. Accounts Payable Manager. Randstad Professional Services seeks a full-time accounts payable manager in the Fall River area to support the accounting manager in monthly account reconciliations and managing staff. Job number 11044791. Yard Jockey Specialist. Amazon, located at 1180 Innovation Way, is in need of a full-time yard jockey specialist to oversee Amazon's transportation operations, ensuring packages can get in and out of the fulfillment center. Job number 11043896. Webster Bank, located at 33 Sullivan Drive, is looking to fulfill the following full-time positions. Application Instructions Associate. Job number 11057715. Associate Universal Banker. Job number 11048987. The Fall River Public School Department, located at 417 Rock Street, is looking to fulfill the following full-time positions. Teacher Assistant. Job number 11048806. Nutrition Workers. Job number 11048800. For more information on these or other positions, visit Mass Hire JobQuest at jobquest.detma.org or call the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center at 508-730-5000.
Welcome back. It's that time of year once again when Citizens for Citizens is accepting fuel assistance applications from low-income residents in Greater Fall River.
We've sent out all our ARFs, or all the applications to people who had applied the year before. Sent out about 18,000 applications. And we're also taking people, walk-ins, for people who want to apply first time, because for the first time that you apply for fuel assistance, you have to come in and see an intake worker. We're getting the information out for people to do that. We're also, we don't take appointments. People can walk in. We're open Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. And when the fuel season officially starts November 1st, we'll be extending those hours on Tuesday nights till 6:30 p.m. and on Saturdays 9 to 12. We're encouraging people to come down, especially if you haven't applied before. The income guidelines have increased, so people who, for a single person, it's well over over $35,000. You can be eligible for fuel assistance. Family of 4, it's in the 60s. Family of 5 in the 70s. It's really a program now not only for people of low income, but the working class people who could really use this benefit.
The Fall River Zoning Board of Appeals will meet in November to consider a proposal by STAR to construct another substance abuse treatment center in Fall River's North End. State Representative Carol Fiola is coming out against the proposal, but not because she's against treating patients who reside in the city.
Donna, as you know, for the last 5 years, I have spent a majority of time working on the opioid crisis, bringing together the provider groups here in our community, meetings and input sessions and focus groups, and really trying to bring everyone so that they weren't working in silos, but working together, because it has been such a crisis. I serve on the Mental Health and Substance Use Disorder Committee, for the first committee that I served on, so I've had an up-close look at what's going on with this epidemic, the evolution of it. So we were able to bring groups together who are now all collaborating. We have offshoots of that. We have Recover Fall River, Project Reconnect. We have a task force. We have so many groups working. We have peer-to-peer recovery groups. We have good treatment programs. We have good social service agencies. There is a need everywhere. There are bus lines going to Taunton and Westport and Somerset and Swansea. And so my point is, we have a choice here. Well, we may not, but we have a choice to say yes or no to a new development. And this new development will have repercussions for many, many years to come. And while the problem is everywhere, and we are doing our share here in the city of Fall River, it's basically time for other communities to acknowledge that this opioid epidemic and crisis is everywhere. And so when you have a choice to site a third facility, I was hoping and had been hoping that there would be public vetting process, that there has not been, and to allow, which I think that may happen now since we've put out this information, that it could be considered to be placed in a community that also has the need, that has not yet stepped up to the plate to help those in need.
Earlier this week, the Children's Museum in Fall River received a shipment of equipment for its new space exploration exhibit.
Amazingly, the driver called me at 9 a.m. and said, I'm 30 miles out. So it was very exciting to have this day be here. We've been fundraising for this for about 2 years actively, and to finally have it be a reality. Thanks to Paul from United Builders, who is a playground builder, is helping us spearhead this project along with the City of Fall River, and we're very happy to have them as partners with us on this to help us get this great job done. It was quite a weight of 5 big pallets, and so we're very excited. We had all kinds of donors. We have a wall downstairs that will be soon made a permanent wall up here. We said to folks, for $20 you can have a star. So we had many, many grassroots for sure. We've had, from say 1,000 to 10,000. We've had the United Way, the Rotary, Women's Union. Senator Rodrick's is obtaining $60,000 for us from the general budget, which we haven't seen yet, but we know it's coming. A large donation was made also from my family to match the other $50,000.
The Massachusetts Department of Transportation has constructed new signage and road lanes for bicycles in Fall River. FRCmedia News spoke with city engineer J.R. Fry to learn more.
So the bike paths that you were wondering about, the new painting and some new signage, was a MassDOT project that was recently completed. And some question has arisen regarding the background paint. It's a green color that appears occasionally within the bike lane. The background paint is an identification for drivers that are crossing the bike path to pay special attention to the fact that there may be a bicyclist in the lane. It's simply an additional warning indication that there is a point of intersection, and we wouldn't want the driver to be pulling out and stopping in the middle of that bike lane either, because the bikes within that space have the right of way.
We'll have more FRCmedia News after this.
Today on Hot Dogs and Cool Cats, we have Henry, who is a lab that is missing a tail. It is believed that when he was younger, his mother could have licked it off. However, anything could have happened in his past that we don't know about. He's a sweet 1 and 6 month old Labrador. Does not know any commands. He's really good with other dogs. It's just when it comes to their energy level, he tries to match that. Females, obviously, he's all for. Males, he can be a little wary sometimes, but he seems to be fine. Sweet boy, loves walks, loves to play. Although he doesn't really know much about toys, he just gets the zoomies a lot. Loves treats, and he can play catch with treats. If you're interested in Henry or any of our other animals, come visit us at Forever Paws. We're located at 300 Linwood Ave in Fall River, Massachusetts. We're open every day 11 to 4, besides for Wednesdays. Come down and visit.
Today we have Giselle. Giselle is a tiny little domestic short hair. Interesting story about her. We know that when she was growing up, she was malnourished, so she didn't grow entirely correctly. She's going to retain this tiny little body of hers for her whole life, but consequently, because of that, it's very difficult to age her exactly. If you'd like to come and meet her, come on down to 300 Linwood Street here in Fall River, Massachusetts, at Forever Paws Animal Shelter.
The Fall River Fire Department is warning local residents of a potential telemarketing scam. Fire Chief John Lynch says that there are scammers out there calling local residents seeking donations for the department. He says this is a scam and no such operation is being undertaken by the fire department at this time. If you have any questions whatsoever or any calls you get from the fire department and you have some questions, please call the fire department directly at 508-324-2743. Veterans held captive or reported missing in all wars were honored during a nationally recognized ceremony recently at Government Center in Fall River.
It is the veteran, not the preacher, who has given us the freedom of religion. It is the veteran, not the reporter, who has given us the freedom of the press. It is the veteran, not the poet, who has given us freedom of speech. It is the veteran, not the campus organizer, who has given us the freedom to assemble. It is the veteran, not the lawyer, who has given us the right to a fair trial. It is the veteran, not the politician, who has given us the right to vote. It is the veteran who salutes the flag. It is the veteran who serves under the flag. It is the veteran to be buried by the flag so that the protester can burn the flag.
I mean, I'm going to keep my comments brief. I mean, it was just an incredible poem, an incredible amount of words that really summed up exactly what it means to remember and thank our veterans. Specifically today, of course, our POWs and our missing in action.
I've had the ability to see what other countries do, how they honor their veterans, and I must tell you, with no lack of respect to those countries, but a greater respect for our own. No other country remembers the people that serve them the way we do. And when it comes to missing in action, no other country responds the way we do. We have appropriated in our budget every year monies for a particular part of our Defense Department and our military that make the constant effort to go back whenever possible and find out if there are soldiers that are still alive, or find out where the remains of those soldiers are, and make sure we're doing everything to bring them back. And this is ongoing.
That'll do it for this edition of FRC Media News. You can watch FRC Media News Thursdays and Fridays at 6 p.m. and find out all of our news online 24/7 at frcmedianews.org. For all of us here at FRC Media News, I'm Keith Tebow. Have a great week. We'll see you next Thursday.